Hi guys, did you bring your coffee to my free class? I sure hope you did. We are sharing homeschool ideas today, and that means we have to have coffee to share with each other, right? I just want you to know you are totally among friends today. We are just going to sit down and relax and have our virtual cup of coffee together. And in the next hour, I am frankly 100% confident that I can help you feel more relaxed and more sure of yourself about your ability to make a homeschool transcript. And in 1 hour, you're going to learn how to make your homeschool transcript professional and official and accurate and done. The most important part of that whole thing is getting it done. I every year hear from people who accidentally forgot to make it. Now their child is, say, invited to a full tuition scholarship competition and they don't have everything ready yet. So you really want to have everything done. Also, I brought a free gift today. So I need to know, are you ready to have fun? And do you have coffee? So if you could just chime in on chat and say yes to either of those. Are you ready to have fun? And do you have coffee? And I definitely am saying yes because I definitely have coffee. Does everybody else have your coffee too? Yes, yes, yes. I don't know what homeschooling was like before the age of coffee, but I can't imagine that it was very easy. Oh, cocoa. Good idea, Alex. Good. All right. So I do have a workbook for you today. It looks like this. So make sure that you download your workbook. My husband is putting that on the webinar for you right now, so you can do that. Ooh, Anita got smart and brought a sandwich. That was good thinking. I will say I cheat with my workbook. Mine has all the answers written in red pen. And in case you're worried that there's like some quiz at the end other than making your own transcript, I have a secret for you. Okay, shh, don't tell. All of the answers that you're going to be putting into your workbook are going to be underlined on the screen. So anytime you see anything underlined on the screen today, you just write that in your notebook and you'll have all of the answers right there. Okay. Um, but you know how when you're teaching your kids and they're taking an online class and you say, now is no time to be fiddling on your phone and you have to put your phone aside and just focus, right? So that's what I'm telling you to do right now. I need you to focus and learn. Okay. So turn off your phone unless that is how you're joining me, and close your other tablets or browsers or whatever so you don't get distracted by YouTube or Instagram. Turn off the TV, and also be aware of your Wi-Fi too, because if you've got a lot of different things that are vying for your Wi-Fi, then that will slow the class down and there might be a bit of a lag. Okay, here is your free gift. And to get your free gift, you see this tiny URL here? All you have to do is write that down in your workbook. tinyurl.com/10 essentials ebook. And then you can download it after class. It's a downloadable PDF book. You can read it, when you've got plenty of time to do that later tonight or whatever. This is your free gift. So make sure you've written that down. And I will give you one more reminder about the free gift at the very end. So make sure that you grab that. Okay. The 10 essentials will help you know what are the 10 critical courses that homeschoolers need to have in order to be successful in college, career, and life. Okay, I hope you have your workbook ready because I have the top of the hour now and it's time for us to get started. Welcome to my class, A Homeschool Parent's Guide to Grades, Credits, and Transcripts. For us to make the best use of this class, I need to know something from you. Okay, so put your hands on the keyboard because now is what I need to know. What is the grade of your child, like 11th grade, 9th grade, 8th grade? And what do they do for fun? Okay, because then I can take whatever your child does for fun and use that as examples through the class to make it easier for you to explain and understand what we're doing. Okay, so grade and what they do for fun. And then Alex is my assistant, and I'm going to ask Alex if you see a couple of things, if you could just combine those into a text to me really quickly. You don't have to get everything, but just a highlight of things. And then I'll have those examples to use throughout class. Looks like people are having lots of fun. Wendy, tabletop gaming. I will say my son is totally into board games. I get that. Okay. Now, this class is going to be perfect for you if you know it's time to start your transcript, or it's time to update your transcript, or it's time to finalize your transcript, or you're falling behind and you've never even thought about a transcript before, or if you even just need to know what a transcript is. But if you want your child to succeed in college, career, and life, they gotta have a high school transcript, even when it's made by you. So that's how you know that you are in the right place. I do want you to stay for the whole workshop, please, because I'm going to be giving an offer for the total transcript solution. And I really believe it's going to make the job much faster for you, much easier for you. You can literally get your transcript done by the end of the evening using the total transcript solution. And we're also giving away a fast action bonus, including a mini conference that you can enjoy from, the comfort of home, and a $300 training bonus, but only when you're listening to me live and online today. All right, so here is what you're going to actually learn today. And you can see this in your workbook. Did you download your workbook yet? Because you definitely want to have that handy. You're going to learn the necessity of making a homeschool transcript, how to determine credits, how to know what something is high school level. We're going to get how to assign grades, what grading scale to use, and the common traps and pitfalls. And thank you so much, Alex, for texting that to me. That is super going to help. I really appreciate it. Okay. I also am hoping that this class will not only give you information, but also give us some joy in our life. And Monica shared how much the class was fun, and she felt like I was comical. I disagree. I'm totally nerdy all the time, not comical at all, right, Matt? Right, Matt? He disagrees. Anyway, so I think we're going to have lots of fun today as we're learning. Now, my name is Lee Benz, if we haven't met before. And if you could just chime in on chat and tell me what state you're joining us from, that would be great. We just had a whole bunch of people hopping in. So if you could just share your name and state, or just state if you've already shared your name, that's great. Again, my name's Lee Benz. I'm an actual homeschool mom. It's true. My two boys are grown adults now. My husband, Matt, runs the business. My staff runs the office for me, and I get to talk to parents like you and share virtual coffee all the time. Let me tell you a little bit about my homeschool, just so you kind of understand who I am. You know how everybody homeschools differently. And in fact, maybe you could share, are you more unschooling, more classical, more eclectic, more literature based? So for me, I homeschooled completely independently. I did use a literature based curriculum, but I really believe that it's the best way to encourage lifelong passionate learners, because it avoids assembly line education, because they're always learning something new. They're never overwhelmed, and they're at a pace that fits your child. Also, especially now, it's so important to have education that is consistent with your values. And as a homeschooler, we can control that, right? Now, I started homeschooling when my children were early elementary. This is them when they graduated high school, little nerdy, right? We gave them a homeschool, homemade, mommy made transcript, and they were both given full tuition scholarships to their first choice university. In fact, on my blog, I have a list of, I can't remember, over 70 colleges that have given full tuition scholarships to homeschoolers. So with your transcript, they can get fantastic college admission and scholarship opportunities if that's what you want to do. Okay, so that's my two boys. They're much older now, but don't tell them I said that. In the process of homeschooling, I realized that there were some key beliefs that I have about homeschooling. First of all, that homeschooling provides the best possible learning environment because kids are safe and secure. And I just don't think that they can learn when they're afraid or being bullied, or, having to defend their faith all the time. Number two, I believe that every child deserves a college prep education. Whether they choose to go to college or not, it's the best way to be prepared for adulthood. And number three is, I believe that all parents are capable of providing a superior education for their children, as long as they love their child and care about education, and then they can end up doing great. So let's get started by talking about what is the big deal about grades and credits. It's a big deal because this is the love language of colleges. And when colleges see grades and credits on an official transcript, that's how you get college admission and scholarships. That's how you get the good jobs. So, our college admission official, Brian Jones, he said, "Your transcripts and records were the best organized and documented that I have seen. And here's my transcript right now on a piece of paper." Meanwhile, my child was not so convinced. And he said, "Mom, your grades are bogus." So I know your child would never say anything like that when they were a teenager. My child no longer thinks my grades were bogus and actually has a master's degree in engineering now. So it all turned out okay, and we let him live, right? After saying that to me. But transcripts are the love language of colleges. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, we do have that great workbook. And my top secret tip is that everything underlined on the screen is an answer that you write into the workbook. Okay. Again, the workbook looks like this. Everything on the screen that is underlined is the answer to the workbook. So the love language of colleges is numbers. They like grade numbers and they like credit numbers. These things don't always mean a lot to us. We're focused more on education and understanding and values and developing a love among our family. For colleges, though, grades, credits, huge deal. And so I'm going to teach you how to do those one at a time. I don't want you to worry about it. But here's the key thing that you need to write down. You're only translating your normal, natural homeschool experience into the love language of colleges. It's like translating it into French or Russian. Okay. But what you don't need to do is change your homeschool, right? You're not going to change your message. You're just translating it into this other language. Okay. So do not change your homeschool. Now I need you to chime in on chat and promise me that you won't do that. I will not change my homeschool. Okay. Everybody chime in on chat. I will not change my homeschool. Now, of course, all bets are off if you need to change your homeschool, right? If there's like things that are going really wrong. Okay. Jessica, good. Diane, Amy, Regina, Holly, excellent. Robin, Amy. Okay. I think I've got everybody following. Marcy's following. Good. Okay. Now let's get started, and I'm going to decode what it means to have a high school credit now. Okay. All right. When you think about high school credits, I want you to think about swimmers. Swimmers are measured by distance, stroke, and time. And they are rated distance, stroke, and time and given scores on that, numbers on that, right? That is what a high school credit is like. A high school credit is a measurement of how long and how hard the student worked. Easy as that. Now, I will tell you that when I was homeschooling, I ran into this problem where all of these experts were saying a credit meant different things. And I came to realize that that's because there's different places in the United States that do it different ways. And a lot of people would say, oh, it has to be this way because that's what their local public high school did. We don't have to do things the way our local public high school did. So there are ways that experts will disagree on what a credit is, but there are some ways that they all agreed were common, right? So they usually say that a high school class is either a whole credit or a half a credit, and that there are basically 4 different ways to determine high school credit. So let's go through all these 4 ways. And as I do that, I want you to remember you only have to have one of these ways to be true. If one of these ways is true, you get the credit, even if the other 3 ways aren't true. Okay. Number 1, you can give high school level credit based on high school level work at any age. What? Blow me away. This is really helpful if you have a gifted child because they might be doing high school level work earlier than you expect. Now, when you're using this high school level work at any age, you give credit when the student has completed the textbook or the curriculum. Okay. And that's why you don't have to like calculate hours and also calculate books. You only have to complete either the textbook or the curriculum. When I say complete, by the way, that means 80% done. It doesn't mean any more than that. 80% done. Okay, now experts didn't agree on much, but I was pretty surprised that every expert agreed that you can give early high school credit, even if the child is before high school in certain areas. But that does beg the question, how do you know it's high school level? Well, it's pretty easy. Actually, somebody's going to tell you. A textbook will tell you. Pictured on the screen here is Saxon Advanced Math. It's not like sixth grade math at all. The textbook will tell you this is high school trigonometry, high school pre-calculus. Or maybe a catalog will tell you, or a class, or a teacher, or an accredited program, or an online class will tell you that it's a high school class. And if that's true, you know it's high school level and you put it on the transcript. Okay, now some common examples of early high school credits are math when it's algebra 1 and higher, science when it's biology or more difficult, and foreign language when you're using a high school curriculum. Now, so this is only the three examples when you're doing early high school credits. But if you're doing pre-algebra in ninth grade, then it still counts as high school credit. But as far as a like seventh grader, then it only counts for high school credit when it's algebra 1. Okay, second way to determine credit is the number of hours worked at high school age. Now, finishing curriculum early, that was helpful for gifted kids, but this hours worked at high school age is really helpful when you have remedial kids. Okay. If they're high school age and they went to public school, literally everything they did all day long would be put on their high school transcript. And so that's what you are supposed to do too. Remedial work counts, even if they're doing sixth grade math, even if they're still struggling with sentence structure, it all goes on the high school transcript when they're high school age. So hours worked at high school age. Now, you don't have to count hours for everything, because again, if you're using a book and they finish a book, you're done. Okay. But if your child is not using a book, let's say it's PE or English or something, then you might estimate the number of hours worked. Oh, Jessica said she missed what I said about foreign language. And I said that you can count early high school credits for foreign language if you were using a high school curriculum. So if a seventh grader is using Rosetta Stone for Spanish, then you can give them high school credit for that because it's considered a high school curriculum. Okay, now experts do disagree on how many hours makes a credit. And so what I like to do is give people boundaries, because it's not like we have to count these hours with 5-minute intervals anyway. We're going to be estimating hours anyway. And so as long as you fit within this realm of hours, you're fine to call it a credit. So if you have 120 to 180 hours, that is going to be a credit. And if you have 60 to 90 hours, that's going to be a half a credit or a semester class. Now, this simple formula is going to help you. But again, you don't have to count for hours. You don't have to have, I've seen a lot of people have complicated forms and 1 hour for math and 1 hour for PE. You don't have to do that. Okay. You can estimate. So let me teach you how to estimate. Okay. If your child is working for 1 hour per day, most of the school year, most weeks, then that 1 hour per day means 1 credit by the end of the year. It just does. Whether, you have 120 or 180 school hours in the year, it still counts. So if you do 1 hour per day, that's 1 credit. If your child works a half an hour per day, that would be a half a credit. Now you can also spread that out over a week too. So if your child is doing 5 hours a week, but they do it all on Friday, and they do that every single school day of the year, right? That 5 hours a week would still be 1 credit. And for a half a credit, if they do it all on Friday, then if they were working for 2 to 3 hours per week, then that would be a half a credit. So, for example, my children were reading apologetics books. They always read on Friday. It always took them about 2 to 3 hours every Friday. They would read apologetics books and they enjoyed it. They thought it was really fun. So, we knew that their Bible credit was going to be one half a credit because they were working for 2 to 3 hours every single week throughout the whole school year. Okay, now don't forget, hot tip, count textbooks first. It's way easier to count one math textbooks done, instead of worrying about now how many hours was that? And they were sitting in the den reading for how long? So it's easier to count textbooks first and only measure hours when it's necessary, when you're not using textbooks or a measured curriculum. Okay, moving on. The third way to determine high school credit is when your child has earned college level work at any age. Now, that often will freak out people that have a seventh or eighth grader, but it is really possible for a normal child to do college level work. And here are some examples. Okay, community college, dual enrollment, credit by examination, CLEP test, AP test, Dante's test, AP course, that sort of thing. All of those are examples of college level work. Has anyone here had their child sign up for an AP class before? Because those are pretty common in high school and it really can happen. Okay, now we're moving forward to the fourth way to determine credit. Fourth way is based on demonstrated expertise. It's a little harder to nail down, but this basically means some professional told you that your child has expertise in this area. Maybe they were published in a paper or a magazine. Maybe they hold an actual job in the actual field. So, for example, my son was an intern at a public policy think tank. And that definitely was a college internship, and he was 14 at the time. So I knew that that was demonstrated expertise that could be put onto his high school transcript. Okay. Yes, that's right. Homeschoolers can get a registered AP course themselves for sure. Okay. Now let's move on and talk about grades next. Now I know that grades are a little bit scary for people, which is, funny to me because I'm kind of a relaxed grader myself, but I don't judge. And I just want you to know that I am not going to be increasing your workload, and there is no grading rubric that I think everybody needs to follow all the time. Okay, this is going to make your life easier, not harder. All right, let's talk about high school grades. Remember when we talked about credits, we talked about swimming, okay, measure of how long and how hard a student works. When we talk about grades, I want you to think about piano, okay? When a piano teacher is evaluating their students, they do not use a fill in the bubble test. They don't. They watch what the student is doing. They're looking at their hand position, their eyes. What are their eyes doing? They listen to hear if they're playing with musicality. Does it flow? Are they playing all the right notes? So it's basically a look, listen, and feel, and it is not an A, B, or C fill in the bubble. Does that make sense? Okay, so quick question. How many of you do not use many formal tests in your homeschool? Okay. I will go first, and I will confess to you, I only use tests in half of my curriculum. And it was really only math, science, and foreign language. And it was really only those because my curriculum came with tests in math, science, and foreign language, and it did not come with tests in the other things. Yes, spelling, good one, good one. Yeah, STEM classes, right, for sure. So you know what? Now we know we're here. We are sharing coffee among friends. And you know what all of our friends have just told us? It is okay to not give a test in every single class. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do tests in all of your classes at all. Now, here's the message though. Evaluating is something that we do naturally, like a piano teacher. Look, listen, and feel. So it is optional to give a test. It is not optional to give a grade. You have to give a grade. You give your grade based on your natural evaluation, just the way a piano teacher does. How does a piano teacher know when to say, okay, we're moving up to level 7 next, right? Because they evaluate without tests, which is what we are doing, okay? Tests are optional. Now, I'm going to take this one step farther, and I'm going to say you're doing your children a disservice if you are giving them a final grade that is based only on tests, because you would be the only teacher in the universe that did that. Teachers evaluate their students in class in many different ways. Who is participating, class participation, who showed up on time, who turned in their homework. They don't even necessarily give a grade for homework all the time. Sometimes it's just, did you turn it in? Yes, no, right? Did they turn in the project? Did they present their project? Did they have a presentation of some kind? And so if we are giving a grade based only on tests, that is a disservice to our children. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you how to give a grade on anything, whether it is a grade for a whole year of English, or a grade for one English paper, or one artistic drawing your child has done. All right. This is a quick grading estimate that's going to save your bacon no matter where you are. I don't know. Does anybody here know Andrew Poudois from the Institute for Excellence in Writing? He and I, we laugh about grading all the time because we see eye to eye so much. But his grading scale is A means acceptable. I love that. You should write that down. He says B means it could be better, right? And he says C means, oh, come on, try again. I love that. That is so perfect. But I know that homeschool moms, they're happy to laugh at what Andrew Poudois says because he's so funny. Again, Institute for Excellence in Writing, IEW.com. However, I know that moms are super intense and they want formulas, and that is what I am going to give you today. Are you ready? Here's your formula for a grade of A, whether this is an A in English for the year or an A on a paper. Here's how you know. A grade of A means mastery. They learned the concept. They meet your high expectations, or they have high test scores. The chapter tests were high, or the SAT test in English was high, or your student loves the subject. My son could talk ad nauseum about history, loved the subject, knows way more about history than me, and always has. Or the parent is not annoyed. That's how you know it's an A. It's as easy as that. Okay. Now here's the formula for a B. Are you ready? A B means it's pretty good, right? It means it's definitely not worth an A. You're confident it's not worth an A. And it means that the parent is somewhat annoyed, right? Remember Andrew Poudois, B could be better, right? I'm slightly annoyed. Now, this will sometimes happen when you're trying multiple curriculum and you're trying to get the one that fits in order to learn the subject. I will say that my son definitely got a B on one of his science lab reports. It was a biology lab report. I think it was the one with fishes. And I always had them draw a graph or chart or drawing of the experiment and write a paragraph. And so Kevin, in his infinite wisdom, thought that he would do his entire lab report in yellow pencil on white paper. I was over 40 at that age, right? So that was like not something I could see on the page at all. And so I gave him a B. I gave him 80% on the assignment. And as the homeschool mom that I am, made him redo it so that I could actually read it. So that's what a grade of A looks like in the real world. All right, let's talk about what a C means. A C means it was not very good at all. Yes, Bethany, you and me. It's a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad class. And in fact, both the parent and the child is annoyed and disappointed. Here's how you know it's a C, though. It's because you kept going to the next level. Now, let me explain it to you, literature lovers. Okay, I'm going to explain this carefully in words. A grade of C means it was a no good, very bad, terrible class, but you kept going to the next level. Okay, and that's what it's like to get a C. For example, if Algebra 1 was horrible, people were crying, there was nausea involved, but you got through it, and next year you are going to be moving into geometry, and that's how you know it's a C. All right, let's talk about a grade of D. I do not recommend a grade of D. When you're homeschooling independently, like I did, then you can do other things. You can change the curriculum, you can stop the class, you can drop the class if it wasn't necessary, you could adjust the attitude if needed. You could take a break and start over next month. There's a lot of options. And so, unless they got a D in an accredited program somehow, or you really need to have that class on the transcript for some reason, I would not include a grade of D or below on the homeschool transcript. Now, remember, when you're making a grade, it's a disservice to give them a grade based only on tests. So you want to make a smoothie grade, a grade of smoothie. And so in one jar, you might have the tests. In the other jar, you might have did they or did they not turn in their homework. And in the third one might be your class discussion. Did you, in fact, understand when we talked about it at the kitchen table? Okay. You blend all these things together, and what comes out is a smoothie, and that smoothie is an accurate grade. Now, you can go back in time and fine tune every little grade for every little project, and I absolutely 100% guarantee you it will be the same as the smoothie we just talked about. Because I've had moms that have said, I trust you, Lee. I trust the smoothie. I'm writing it down, but now I'm going to go back and check. And these moms, the really uptight homeschool moms, right? They have done that work for you. They have gone back to check, and they found out that it is absolutely accurate, the smoothie that I've just been talking about. Okay. All right. Now we're on to the next part of our show. This is on page 3 of your workbook. We're talking about how to choose a grading scale. Now, you'll notice on page 3 of your workbook is that there's lots and lots of numbers there because I didn't want to freak anybody out. I did not want you to have to write down any numbers. So I want you to just kind of embrace and enjoy the numbers on the next slide. Okay? Not scary at all. Nobody's scared. Do you need a sip of coffee? Can I hand you some chocolate? Brownie, anybody? Okay. Option 1. You could choose this grading scale. My understanding is there is a school in the world that does use this grading scale, so it is completely acceptable. All right. This is just an option, but option number 1 says that 97 to 100% is an A plus, 93 to 96% is an A, 90 to 92% is an A minus, etc. Now, for me, I looked at that grading scale option and started to cry. And I thought, if high school is like this, I don't want to homeschool high school. It was too complicated. There were too many numbers. What is the deal with the plus and minus? My children were going to be smart enough to get an A, or they were going to do it over again. I mean, I was like so over this grading scale. But again, if you like it, take it, it's yours. Okay. Option number 2. Also, an acceptable grading scale. I have seen this from public schools, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. A, 4.0, B, 3.0, C, 2.0, D, 1.0, and an F is a 0. For me, though, this was not difficult enough, I guess. It was way too simple because, as I mentioned, I did give tests in math, science, and foreign language. And if the test was like 87%, I wanted to know, was it an A or a B? And this grading scale did not tell me. And ultimately, that's why I did not choose this grading scale. But it's fine. If you like it, it's fine. Option number 3. I see this one a lot in public schools. I think because it's so random. There's something about public schools grading that has always seemed very random to me. But here's this grading scale option. 93 to 100% is an A, 85 to 92% is a B, 75 to 84% is a C. Is it me, or does it seem like they're pulling numbers out of a hat, right? It just didn't seem to make any sense. And why is 93 an A, but 92 is a B? Like, that cutoff seemed completely at random. Again, I see this grading scale option. If you like it, you can grab it. See, Holly just chimed in. When I was in public school, they used this option. I'm not even kidding. And Bethany's like, yep, sounds like a public school. All right. Now, option 4. This is my personal favorite. This is the one I ended up using myself. Option 4. 90 to 100% is an A, 80 to 89% is a B, 70 to 79% is a C. I love this one because if I got a test score, like in math, 87%, I knew it's in the 80s. It is a B, right? I didn't have to go refer to a chart and get out my slide rule or something. That just is what it is, right? And so this was my just right moment, and that's the grading scale that I used for myself. Okay, now I'm going to give you 3 fail-safe methods for choosing your own grading scale. Okay, this is going to help you find the perfect grading scale just for you, because there's 4 options. There's probably more in the world, but these are definitely by far the 4 most common. I'd probably say 95% of schools use one of these 4. Okay, so here's how to choose. The first way to choose is with your gut instinct. You see how Marcy has already chimed in and she said option 4 is great. Okay, you, Marcy, I hereby proclaim option 4 is the perfect way for you to choose your grading scale, right? Somebody else said that she was a public school teacher and they used the 93 to 100% when she was teaching. Maybe she'd feel more comfortable with that one, right? So you can choose by gut instinct. The second way to choose, let's say you don't have a gut instinct on this at all, you're so completely overwhelmed. The second way to choose is to choose my favorite, which I've already told you is option number 4, the easy one, 90 to 100. Okay. Now, the fourth way of choosing is the grading scale dartboard game. All right. Now you have to look at my picture there. See, right? You get this? It is on the last page of your handout, page 6 of your workbook today. You take that one page, that one piece of paper, and you tape it to your kitchen wall, and then you make spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. And then you throw a meatball at the dartboard. And the place where it leaves that little red splat, right? That will tell you what grading scale option you are supposed to use. It is the grading scale dartboard game is the perfect way to choose your grading scale. Now, regardless of what grading scale you choose, what I want you to do is to circle the one that you want to choose in your workbook. I don't want you to hem and haw and worry and fret. Just choose right now, okay? Circle your option and then stick with it. There is no problem with sticking with it, okay? Everybody's going to make spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. We got dinner figured out, ladies. That's good. Okay. Now, remember that when you're making your grades and even your credits, that parents really do know what's best when it comes to grades. Sometimes you do need to give it lower than an A. You don't have to give all A's as long as you're considering every method of evaluation. Look, listen, and feel, just like a piano teacher. I just don't want you to give a grade that's based solely on tests. If you do have a grade or multiple grades that are lower than an A, that shows that you gave some thoughtful consideration. But to be quite honest, colleges understand homeschooling high school takes many different forms and that there's many different ways of doing it. They also understand that homeschoolers are unique in that they make their child learn before moving on. When a child is in any other school setting, the class will move on whether your child is sick at home for 2 weeks or not, right? That doesn't happen at homeschooling. We make sure that our child learns before they move on. And so it's almost not expected, but it is understandable when a homeschooler does have all A's. So I don't want you to feel bad if you do have all A's, and I don't want you to feel bad if you don't have all A's. I'm just saying that you evaluate every method of evaluation. Now, here's what you may not know, that colleges understand that there are differences between high schools, between public schools, private schools, and homeschools. What you may not know is that there are unaccredited public schools across the United States. It's been about 3 months since I looked at the statistics, but I can't remember if it's like 30% or 60% of public high schools in Florida, for example, are unaccredited. But it's quite a few. Quick question, did you even know that there are unaccredited public schools? Yes or no? No, yeah, I didn't. I was surprised. I one time did some research to try to find out if my public school was accredited or not, and it took me 3 months to figure it out. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of relief. So when people say accredited transcript, you don't need to have one because neither does the public school kid or the private school kid. It doesn't have to be accredited. Okay, so there are many things that might worry you. I've just put you at ease about accreditation. But if you could just chime in on chat and say, what keeps you up? What worries you at night? I would love to hear your concerns so that we can be sure to address that. I'll tell you, one mom was so worried about making her transcript that she had me do it for her. This was about 20 years ago when I actually went to people's homes and made transcripts for them. And what was interesting is she was so happy with the results, and we reviewed it together. And I had all my prompts about, what to ask to make sure we didn't miss anything. And, we talked about the details of American Sign Language. We got into it. And as I was leaving, I said, "So, what are you doing this weekend?" And she said, "Oh, we're going to a Latin competition." The problem is she had forgotten 4 years of high school Latin. So what keeps you up at night may not even be the thing that is causing you worry later on, right? Um, so let's talk about why we make a homeschool transcript anyway. Colleges and employers, they have this problem of cookie cutter kids, right? All the kids that go to school, they all start and then they go through and then they all look the same, like they were all made on an assembly line with nothing unique about them. At the same time, colleges and employers need numbers. They have, tens or thousands of applicants that all look the same and only these numbers to guide them. And it's hard for them to make those decisions on which one is going to win what. So your transcript is going to solve the problem of cookie cutter kids. And so, what I'm going to do right now is to give you 5 ways that your transcript is going to be awesome. Now, this section goes pretty quickly and it covers the span between page 3 and page 4 in your workbook. So, be ready to write pretty fast, okay? You make a transcript because it will perfectly reflect your student, all of their education, all in one place. Number 2, your homeschool transcript demonstrates your child's unique gifts, what is special about them that their friends don't have, so that they can stand out. Reason number 3, your homeschool transcript will include delight directed learning, the things they do for fun, which also, by the way, makes your school day seem shorter and your job easier. Number 4, your homeschool transcript can emphasize successes and not failures. So it does not include things like eye rolling, sass, bad attitude, or that one time they stayed out past curfew. And reason number 5, it provides colleges and careers the numbers that they need so your child can get the best possible job and scholarships. And the result is not a cookie cutter kid at all, and your homeschool transcript becomes completely unique. Now, there are 3 common pitfalls when you're making your homeschool transcript. And so, what I want to do now on page 4 of the workbook is to go through those transcript pitfalls and the solutions to each one so that you can avoid them entirely. Okay. The first problem that you may face is that the grades that you have on your transcript don't match up with the SAT or ACT scores. Okay. Usually, when a child has grades, there is something that reflects those grades, like the reflection in water on pictured on your screen, right? There's the real trees and the real sky, and then there's the reflection of what's real. So your homeschool grades are the real trees, the real sky, the real thing, right? But you want something that's going to reflect that. Public schools almost exclusively use SAT and ACT as a way to reflect grades, but we don't have to do that. We can have our grades be reflected with other things. Yes, you can focus on test scores. It does help with scholarships, but there's other things you can use as well. You can make sure you get outside documentation with a letter of recommendation. Those are not needed for every year of high school, but just when you're applying for the job or applying for college, you get the letter of recommendation during senior year, say. Course descriptions are fantastic outside documentation. You can collect all the details of your classes, what textbook you used, how you taught, that sort of thing. And so those are the kinds of things. Work experience is another good example, an activity and awards list, things that will reflect more about the student. Okay. So the solution to that is to provide some sort of outside documentation. And it doesn't have to be test scores, although those can help. The second pitfall is you're trying so hard to make your child look normal that you end up making your child look boring. Okay. And so the solution is to create a unique homeschool transcript, something that does include their delight directed learning. Now, how do you make it unique? Delight directed learning for sure, but class titles is surprisingly important. Inside the Total Transcript Solution, I do have a 1 hour class on how to choose the perfect class titles with lots and lots of ideas for each thing, just to make sure that it's perfect. But the solution is to create a unique homeschool transcript. Okay. The third pitfall is when your transcript is missing huge chunks of information, like my friend who forgot 4 years of high school Latin. The solution to that is to make your transcript every single year. It is possible to forget 4 years of high school Latin one time, but it's virtually impossible to forget 4 years of high school Latin 4 years in a row, right? It's not going to happen. It takes too much work to do Latin, you guys. So no, you're not going to forget it. So the solution is to make your transcript every single year of high school. In fact, a lot of people will take this particular class every single year as they update their transcript to help them. So I'd love to get just a little bit of feedback to let me know if this has been enjoyable and helpful for you, and have you laughed yet? That's, I guess, what I really need to know. And now I want to talk about your transcript options so that we can talk about them together. I will say they all do come with a price, but the price may surprise you. So, for example, your first option is software. The problem is that software requires brainware, and the price to that is that you don't get the scholarships if you don't know exactly what to put on your transcript. I did buy transcript software myself, and my husband helpfully downloaded that for me. And then immediately I figured out I had bigger fish to fry. I did not know what to put on the program that I had downloaded. The second option is alternative education, but that really puts your school into a straitjacket. That means you're taking classes at like an online school or something, and they require you to have a certain amount of time spent with teachers and stuff like that, and that is not necessary when you're homeschooling. The third option is accreditation. And we talked about how there are unaccredited public schools, and yet, for whatever reason, accreditation agencies are constantly marketing to homeschoolers, always trying to make us be afraid of this accreditation thing when it really is not necessary. So, what accreditation means is that they have a huge amount of rules requiring record keeping, attendance, and that sort of thing. And so people who try the accreditation route, they're so afraid of making the one page transcript. Remember, it looks like this. So afraid of that one page transcript that they sign up for an accreditation agency. And the next thing you know, they have 30 pages that's due every year or twice a year. These strict rules are really hard to deal with. The fourth option is my favorite, the one I made for you. It's the total transcript solution, and that's going to help you to create a transcript the easy way. It's fast, it's simple, it's accurate. It's the fastest way and the simplest way to create a professional homeschool transcript that will amaze and impress the colleges. It has the complete tools and trainings that you need, regardless of your parenting style, regardless of the fun things that your family has done through homeschooling. It includes scholarship winning templates. It has lifetime access for full family use, so you can use it with all of your children for as long as you want to. Okay. It is continuously updated with tools and templates. There is a NCA compliant transcript template, and it comes with a 30-day money back guarantee. The Total Transcript solution has 4 easy steps to get your transcript done. It has a Making the Transcript class that gets you up and running quickly. It includes an ebook because if you're like me, I need to have a book so I can underline or highlight, or otherwise my head won't retain the information. Step 3 is the transcript template collection. The first one in the collection is the scholarship winning one. And if you have an athlete, please look for the NCA compliant template. But there are 10 other templates that you can look at to see which one you like the best. And number 4 is some feedback and support. You'll be invited to join our private Facebook group where you can get extra questions answered. Now, the total transcript solution has huge benefits, though, that go beyond that. First of all, you get to do it yourself. And you have the tools lying around the house. They are called teenagers. They are lying on your couch right now as we speak. Number 2, it will perfectly present your homeschool to both colleges and employers. Number 3, it will accurately describe your child. Number 4, it's going to save you tons of money and hassle over the other options. And number 5, it will impress colleges and earn scholarships. So I know that the total transcript solution is going to be great for you, but we always add everyday value bonuses to every purchase of the total transcript solution, no matter when you make your purchases. We include the high school testing pack to explain SAT, ACT, AP, etc. We include the resource pack that has a planning guide, grading criteria, so that you can think, what is my look, listen, and feel for English, right? The savings pack with resources to help you save money while you're homeschooling, and the continuing education pack, the Silver Training Club. Let me explain that really quickly. The Silver Training Club is like going to a homeschool support group once a month, but they're only talking about high school. Okay. The Silver Training Club has 5 classes about how to homeschool middle school and high school every single month. And they change every month on the 20th, right? So you'll get 5 new and different classes every single month of the year. And that's how you can stay up to date and become the professional that I know that you are. We also have 3 surprise bonuses for those of you who purchased today, or purchased by listening to this recording. And these special surprise bonuses are the emergency transcript workshop, so you can get your transcript done tonight, the keys to high school success, so that you can start 7th, 8th, and 9th grade strong, That's two classes, getting the big scholarships and finding a college. Those go together. They really need to be taken during 11th grade to be most effective. If you want scholarships, you got to learn about scholarships during 11th grade. And finding a college happens during 11th grade. Now, if you order while we're here together online, we will also throw in the high school record keeping, making the grades, Christian homeschool success, and options after college. That is our conference, our mini conference. These were filmed at homeschool conventions across the country. And all of those will be combined with your purchase. Again, we have a 30-day money back guarantee, 100%. No questions asked, money back guarantee. But this is a digital product, so we don't actually mail anything to you. It is a fully digital product, and that's why we don't have to, charge a restocking fee, or you don't have to pay to ship it back, or that sort of thing. Now, the total value of the total transcript solution is $459 with all of the resources that we have included. Oh, Jen, she just piped in to say, I have it and I love it. That's wonderful. So the total value is $459, but your total investment is only $47. Plus, you don't have to piece it together, but you can do it the easy way. So let me explain what it looks like and how I can help you even more. This is what the order form looks like here. And down at the bottom, you remember when we talked about outside documentation and getting scholarships with course descriptions? If you have not already created your course descriptions, I would encourage you to just click in here and add this to your order. Okay, because course descriptions make a huge difference in scholarships. The comprehensive record solution is normally $147, but you can add it to your order for only $67. Only while you're on this page. Once you leave the page, that offer goes away. Just like the total transcript solution, the comprehensive record solution is a lifetime purchase, and you can use it for all of your kids. Now, once you've made your purchase, whether you add the comprehensive record solution or not, you can even add more help for college bound teenagers. So if your child is college bound, you can add the applying for college module to your order for $20 off the regular price. It's going to help you to plan senior year, prepare homeschool records, complete your college applications, track the process, decide on which college is the best fit for your child. Now, altogether, the total transcript solution is $47, and it includes all of these fantastic bonuses, right? Remember, the Silver Training Club is free for 30 days, but then it's $27 a month. But you can cancel it anytime, even today if you wanted to. The only thing is, the reason why I'm a successful homeschooler, the reason why I know what I know and can help people when I talk to them online or on the phone, and the reason why my children got the big scholarships is because I invested in continuing education. I did. I took classes, I read books about how to homeschool high school, and that's what I want for you. And that's why I think the Silver Training Club is going to be very valuable for you. But I did want to say one thing. For the next 30 minutes, just the next 30 minutes, if you make a purchase of $60 or more today, so it's the total transcript solution and one other thing, then we will add this $300 value bonus to anybody who makes a purchase of $60 or more today. Okay? Now, this is different. It's not an automatic bonus. It is just for people that are with us right here online. Okay, so this is only for the next 30 minutes. It's not if you're listening to me on a recording. This is just if you're here today. Okay, but we will add that bonus to you. Okay. All right, now one last thing I need you to do, and then I'm going to get to your questions. Okay, I need you to write on the bottom of page 4, it says my commitment to take action. And I want you to actually commit to doing this, because just today I was consulting with a homeschool mom who had not yet created her transcripts like she needed to and had all her course descriptions ready, and her child was up for scholarship. So I really need to make sure that you guys are ready to go so that you don't feel like you're the weakest link in your child's financial aid that they get from colleges or whatever. Okay. All right. So let's make sure that you make your transcript every year and you fill that in on your workbook. And now I want to tell you one thing about Claudia. She took her transcript to a college, and the counselor took the transcript and said, I have never seen this from a homeschooler. This is fantastic. And she was so excited, and she was thrilled to share her story. And I want you to come back and share your story too, because I know you're going to get great results as well. Okay, now I'm going to start to answer your questions. Okay. But first, let me just say thank you to Lori C. Lori, thank you for your purchase today. Jennifer, thank you for your purchase. Krista in Wisconsin, Carrie in Washington, thank you for your purchase as well. And let's see, we've got lots of questions coming in now. Does the transcript need to have the word homeschool in it? Many name theirs homeschool, but don't include homeschool in the name. Yeah, so that's completely optional. And one of the nice things about the total transcript solution is that it is a Word document, a simple Word document that all homeschoolers know how to use. You can modify it to say anything that you want as long as your homeschool name doesn't sound goofy in some way. You can name it your homeschool, or if you want to, you can just call it homeschool high school. I have a kind of strange last name, Binns. I didn't want it to be Binns High School. I thought that sounded a little bit funny. But I wanted to emphasize the fact that we were homeschoolers. For me, it was a point of pride. Not that you're not proud about it, but I wanted to share that there were socialized young adults who homeschooled and were smart all at the same time, right? Who did sports all at the same time. And so I called my homeschool high school because I wanted them to appreciate the fact that we were homeschooling. But you don't have to do that, and you can name your school anything you want. My husband and I joke. We briefly considered naming our high school Our Lady of Perpetual Whining, which is very funny when you're speaking with your spouse, but you wouldn't want to put something like that on the high school transcript. That would probably be, bad, not good. Okay. Next question. Danae says, if my child takes a gap year, do I include those experiences on the transcript? Gap year is not included on a transcript, but you can take a 5-year high school and put all 5 years on the transcript if you want to. It's called a super senior year. And you would probably want to choose the first transcript in the template options because it's the most easy to modify to include all 4 years. You'd probably want to have it by subject rather than by year. When you're doing a gap year, usually the way that you get the best scholarships is if you apply when your child is in their senior year. You apply to college, you get admission, you get scholarships, and they hold your scholarships for you. And then you say, oh, we're going to take a gap year and start later. So during your college visits, you talk to them about gap year, but you actually do the applying just like all your other friends and take your gap year after that. So your child would essentially have already been graduated when their gap year experience is had. And that's another reasons why you would not put that on the transcript. Renee says she has a question about grades. I would probably give a lot of B's and C's, but I suspect or know that if my student was in school, they would earn an A, if not an A plus, because their standards have slipped so far. What advice do you have in that regard? I don't want to inflate my grades, but I don't want to penalize my children either. Yeah, I thought that through myself quite a few times. I would be looking at their English paper and I would think, oh, I know they could do better. But then I would look at their English paper with fresh eyes, and I would think about all their friends in public school that I knew and I'd seen their writing, and I thought, wow, it's so much better. So I would encourage you, if you know in your gut that they should earn an A or an A plus in public schools, that you would give them an A, just a flat out A at home. It's very important. And I will say that public schools are not only have they historically been slipping, but they've been slipping extensively since the pandemic. And in fact, if you're worried about your child's SAT or ACT test score, you need to know that public school students all have below average test scores, not each individual, but all public schoolers in general have this below average test score. I think the average public school SAT score is 900 and it used to be 1000. So if your child has, I don't know, 1040 on the SAT, they're doing pretty good compared to their age mates. Jen's question: how many credits are too many? Okay. Well, so that's interesting. Um, it depends on the situation. It is normal for a public school kid to have 20, 24 credits for all of the 4 years of high school. But in a private college prep high school, they offer classes before school and after school and summer school. And for them, a normal college prep student might have 35 credits, 30, 35 credits. I don't really worry that parents have too many credits until you get to about 45. At that point, I start to panic. Okay. Now, in the Total Transcript Solution, I have a class called Creating Transcripts for Your Unique Child, and it goes into a great deal of detail. How do you know if it's too many credits? And if it is too many credits, which credits do you take off? Right. And so that's really going to help you. Bethany says, can we purchase tomorrow on payday? Bethany, yes, absolutely. If you send my staff an email today and say, I'd like to reserve my spot for the bonus, then yes, we'll let you do that. That's okay. Because you're here today and could ask, right? So send us an email. Marissa said, how do you determine high school level when you're not using a dedicated curriculum? And how do you define mastery? Okay, how do you know that it's high school level? So if your child is high school age, it is high school level, high school level. And there's so many remedial kids in high school. Even if your child is remedial and they're high school age, it's still high school level, right? You put it on the transcript. But if you're talking about early high school credits, remember that you're focusing on math, science, and foreign language. Math, it needs to be algebra 1 or higher. That would go on the transcript if they're 7th or 8th grade. Science, if it's biology or more advanced, that would go on the transcript. And foreign language, if you use a high school foreign language. But the first and easiest way to determine high school level is that your child is literally high school age. Okay, easy peasy. And your second question is, how do you determine mastery? Okay, so good. I'm really glad you're asking this, Marissa. Everybody listen up for a second. You might want to write this in your workbook, okay? Mastery does not mean perfection, okay? Mastery does not mean 100% on every test and a paper that blows you out of the water, okay? Mastery means you have understanding. You could get there from here. Let me give you an example from my life, okay? I have a checkbook and I sometimes make mistakes in my checkbook. Do you? Have you ever? Have you ever added wrong when you were in front of people, or tried to calculate something and thought, well, I didn't divide by 3, you know? And yet you and I still would say we have mastery over add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Can I get an amen? Okay. So we understand the concepts, even though we sometimes get things wrong. And that's what mastery means. Does your child understand the concept? Okay. If you're talking to them over the coffee table and all of a sudden they say, oh, I said World War I, but what I really meant was World War II. You don't say, ha, you don't have mastery. Look at you. You don't have mastery. You say, no, you do have mastery. You just misspoke once, right? You're not perfect. Our Heavenly Father is perfect. We are not perfect. Okay. And so that's the difference between mastery and perfection. Okay. Oh, I have to say thank you. Thank you to Rachel S. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you to Robin W. Also, thank you, Robin. And Diane B. Thank you for your purchase, Diane. I hope that you love it very much. Okay. Now, Renee had a question that was the same as Jen's about high school credits. If you have a follow-up question about high school credits, if you could write it again, just to see if you have any clarifying questions. Okay. Let's see. I'm not clear on the difference between the total transcript solution and the comprehensive record solution. Okay, Cameron, you ready? Listen up, Cameron Jensen. The total transcript solution will totally solve your problem on making this one-page document called the transcript. Every single thing I could possibly ever think of to help you make a transcript is in the total transcript solution, okay? But it does not include the other pieces of paper that you might want to include. So if you wanted to write course descriptions, a reading list, an activity list, a book list, if you wanted to write your school profile or have a letter of recommendation, there's a lot of pieces of paper that may come into play if you have a college-bound student. And so the comprehensive record solution is recommended. I recommend you add that to your order if you have a college-bound child or you do not have your course descriptions ready, okay? It appears that most people are adding the comprehensive record solution to their order, so that's awesome. I just wanted to remind you, if that's you, my husband will be adding that $300 value bonus. Let me show you the picture again. He will be adding that to you after class because right now he's answering your questions in class, okay? All righty, let's see. Trina's question. Hi, Trina K. What if my student does not do a Spanish curriculum, but does conversational Spanish with native teachers? Spanish schools online, but there's no curriculum. Yes, that's right. It's just like PE or art. It's very unusual to have a curriculum or measured curriculum for those classes as well. And so you just treat it the exact same way. You say to yourself, okay, we're going to have to count hours because we don't have a curriculum to count. And how many hours is my child speaking in Spanish? The one thing I want you to remember about foreign language is that it's reading, writing, listening, speaking, and culture. Okay, let me say that again real slow. Foreign language: reading, writing, listening, speaking, and culture. And so you're estimating how much time do they spend on all of those things all together, right? So for example, with my kids, we spent about a half an hour a day listening and speaking to audio recordings similar to Rosetta Stone. But then we also used first grade readers that I got from the library in French, and they would read those readers in French. And we would sometimes use Pixar movies, and they would watch the movie where they had already memorized the entire movie in English, right? And so we would watch that with French subtitles, or we would get it with English subtitles, but listen to it in French. And that's how we added more to that. You can also, one other thing we did is I did a report, had them write a one-page report on a French speaking country so that they would get some culture. I know other people are really good about things like making crepes or bread or baguettes or something, but I'm not that good. Okay, so that was not me. All right. So no curriculum, no problem. Okay. Bobby Lynn, did I answer your question about the total transcript solution versus the comprehensive record solution? Okay, just let me know and I'll be coming down to your question again in a minute. Jessica said, what high school class is done in middle school and how are those applied on the transcript? Okay, this is going to be a little bit hard for you to see. It's very easy in my online classes. It's a little harder when we're together live, but see on my transcript template here, it says the math classes, and then way up here it will say early high school credits. And that's the way the scholarship winning transcript template is written. that it already says early high school credits. You can write that in. One thing about those high school credits done in middle school is you do not call them eighth grade. You do not say eighth grade or ninth grade anywhere on your high school transcript. Those were not eighth grade classes. They were high school classes done early. And that's why we call it early high school credit. Okay. Angela has a question. Hi, Angela. How do you list a past CLEP test on the transcript if it was taken as the student already knew the material, but there isn't a class description since they didn't really study for it at all? Would it still be counted as a credit? Yes. The difficulty with CLEP is that you cannot give them a credit for taking the test and a second credit for learning the stuff. Okay. And so if you were going to use CLEP and you're going to say, okay, let's buckle down and study psychology, and then we're going to pass the psychology exam, that whole thing would be one credit. You'd combine the study and the test. But sometimes, like you, Angela, my child would pass a CLEP, and we never studied it at all. My son actually loves economics and history, loves it. And so when we were taking CLEP tests, he passed the CLEP in business law. What was the other one he CLEP that was so unusual, Matt? I can't remember off the top of my head. Business law. I can't remember. Anyway, and so he passed this test without even studying. So I had to give him one credit for this CLEP that we had never studied for. So you give them one credit per CLEP test. Just don't double up the credit if they studied for it as well. Okay. Oh, and would you list it as a course description even though there really isn't one? Yes, there are actually, you can create a course description using the information from the CLEP test. It's pretty easy to do. It's just like an AP. We have course descriptions for all the AP courses, by the way, in the comprehensive record solution that you can cut and paste from. But it's sort of like that. You just take the information in the CLEP test and say business law, and you write that as a course description instead. Lori's question: my son is evaluated and diagnosed with severe and profound dyslexia. So most of what our learning is revolving around what he enjoys. And he just hasn't done a lot of writing. Instead, we talk through his work. Do I just base his grades on his understanding? Well, two things about that. I do encourage you to have him do some writing, but it doesn't have to be pencil to paper writing. You can get at a certain age, almost all adults who have dyslexia have to pivot from I'm going to learn how to write, darn it, and then they make this change to, okay, it's not working. I'm an adult now. What do I have to do to write? Okay. And the way they do that is speech recognition. It's like you push on the little microphone when you're talking into your text, and it will type for you, right? You can do that on your computer as well. So I would have him start to compose papers using speech recognition programs that he can do into Word. And that's going to be a skill that he can take forward into adulthood, whether it's a career or in college. So your total grades are a sum total of every way that you have evaluated. If he were in a public school, they would have somebody right there with him. That person would be reading everything for them. They would be writing down the answers that he told them to write down. And so if you're doing that in your homeschool, that's great. You can definitely be providing accommodation for your child that would be provided in a public or private school as well. So yes, his grade is based on his understanding. Yes. Okay, Cynthia's question. Well, I'm trying to purchase and add the comprehensive record solution, but it shows an extra 97 instead of 67. $97 will be the total. Once you add the total transcript solution and the comprehensive record solution, they will add up to 97 together. Okay. Right. Let's see. How often do you do these webinars so I can share them with friends? Thank you, Jessica. That's really sweet of you to say so. Well, I try to do them once a month, And so, as long as you're on my mailing list and you get my emails, then you will be able to get notified of those sales, and then you can forward those invitations to your friends. No problem at all. I also post them on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And so you can use that as well. Okay. But I'd love to have you share it with friends. I really do want to put moms' minds at ease. I feel like people are way too scared of the transcript, and I don't know if I've mentioned this today enough, but it is just a piece of paper, ladies. You know, it's like it's not that hard. Okay. All righty. Let's see. Jenny's question. Can you have more than 4 math credits in high school? Yes, Jenny S. That is a true statement. Yes, you can. Hey, let me say really quickly, thank you to Anita N. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you, Cameron J. Thank you for your purchase. And Cynthia G. Thank you as well. It's going to be a good fit for you. I just know it. As long as you're homeschooling, this is total transcript solution is perfect. Okay, so more than 4 math credits, yes. I will say that colleges like to see 4 years of math in a row when you're high school age as well. So you might have 6, right? You could have algebra 1 in 7th and geometry in 8th and then move beyond. This is one of the benefits of homeschooling is making sure that you give your child credit for these early high school credits. And what it shows is that you have exceeded expectations. The expectation is 4 credits of math. When you have more, you are exceeding expectations. You're more than likely to get scholarships. Now, it is also true that if you only had the 4 credits and your child went up to calculus, they would assume you'd already done algebra 1 and geometry in middle school. That is true. But it's also good to give them credit when credit is due. Okay. Jen says, I have the total transcript solution, and I know we're supposed to put official on top of the transcript. My question is, do I put that on the version that I'm sending with the applications, even though the year in class isn't finished? I did. I did write official on every transcript I ever submitted to the college when they first applied, when the mid-year grades came out, and then at the end of the year. I did put official on all 3 of those because I felt like we were official and I was the official who was mailing it to them. Okay. So when a class is not done, and that's the other thing you have to understand about making a transcript is that whenever you submit your transcript, it's not done. Almost all the time, you're submitting it before senior year ends. So with the classes that are not done yet, you still put in the completion date that you're expecting them to be complete. You still put in the credit value that you expect them to earn. But instead of a grade, don't put the grade if it's not done yet, right? If you haven't finished the class, you don't know what the final grade is. And instead of the grade, you write IP for in progress. Okay. And the total transcript solution does talk you through that process. Let's see, what email address can we do to buy this tomorrow? Yeah, if you send it to my inbox, Lee at homehighschoolhelp.com, or you can reply to one of the emails that I sent you, and you said you mentioned that if I emailed you that you would reserve my spot for the bonuses for tomorrow. Okay. All righty. Yes, ma'am, she says. Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Okay. Looking for more questions. Okay. I am now 57 messages behind. Feeling a little weird about that. Okay. I'm going to try to catch up. Let me answer Trina really quickly, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list. So it's almost time for us to be done. If you have a question that you think is urgent, you really want an answer to, could you please chime in one more time and say what it is? Okay, just give me one more chance to answer that. And Trina says, what about if my daughter does part classes at one-day co-op and then some of the curriculum at home? Do I mash the classes together for a full credit? Yes, that is exactly what you're doing. So you look at everything that you're using and you're asking yourself, okay, 1 hour at the co-op, and then these things that she's doing at home all together, that's about 5 hours per week. It takes about 1 hour a day, 1 hour when she's gone, but also 1 hour when she's here. And then that's how you know it's 1 credit. One thing to remember though is that at many co ops, they are actually assuming that it takes about 4 hours a week of homework, even though you're only in class 1 week. And so, that's something for you to be aware of, that the co-op work might be considered a full credit anyway. Okay. All right. Jen, thank you. I'm still struggling with my health. She was asking me about how I'm feeling, and I'm just kind of like, it's about nap time. Okay. Let's see. Can we do the seminar again in the future and see the same or similar offers? There are similar offers, and we will be putting up a similar offer in the future, but we have not been using the $300 value bonus. We are only doing that because of the time of year right now. And knowing that homeschoolers are having a hard time budgeting right now. So we were just trying to make sure that we gave you a really big benefit to make sure it was worth your time. Okay, so this is just now, but usually when I get the classes, we do offer some sort of bonuses. Okay. Alrighty, well, that is it for me, and I wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate you all being here and sharing your virtual coffee with me. Where would we be without coffee? Okay. Oh, let me say thank you to Regina S for your purchase as well. Okay, so our time is up now, and I want to thank you so much for coming. Now, I told you I would mention the free ebook one more time. So before you go, make sure that you've downloaded this free book. Okay. All right. The free book, the 10 Essentials for Homeschooling High School. You're so welcome, you guys, Evelyn and Jessica and Jen and Evelyn. It's just so good to be with you all, Bethany and Holly and Rachel. I really appreciate you all being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day and that your children will be blessedly compliant for the rest of the evening. Take care. Bye bye.